The calls were set up to record as soon as I start. So my last session, I logged on and I was like, "Oh, I'll stop the recording," and then I forgot to start it again. But
funny.
But it's okay. It's the same visual thinking one that I've has been recorded, so we can always link back to the original one. So
nice. All right. Yeah, it's all good.
Everyone should start filing in.
Amazing. Welcome. Hello.
Woohoo!
Such a big group already. This is amazing.
Crystal, can't get away from Crystal. She's back again. Already had her twice today. Amazing.
Nice. Yes, a couple Casey. Great. Thanks, folks. Yeah. For if anyone's comfy turning their video on, by all means, that's always incredibly welcome. From our point of view, that's wonderful. But no big deal if you're not able to. Nice to see folks. Oh, and some familiar names too. It's always great to see students or former students for sure. Oh, there's everyone. All right, so I think we'll give it probably just another minute or so, just in case people are going from one thing right to the next. Yeah, amazing.
So as you're landing in the call, I know I was posting it to the waiting room. The link for today's mural is going to be in the chat. If you want to click on the mural link in the chat portion, get yourself set up and comfortable inside. Yes, you guys are already loading GIFs into the warm-up step one. I love it. Get into the mural there, get yourself comfortable, and answer our warm-up question. What are you bringing to the space today? As well as, what would you eat a lot of and win a competition? A blank eating contest. There's a flurry of cursor activity in there. And again, I'll just mention a few times, if it's getting too insane into the mural, you can click on your own icon in the bottom there and turn off. I think there's a button that says show me cursors. Turn that off. That way you won't see everybody else's mice flying around the screen. Got a nice full group, 53 people.
Wow, amazing. So nice to see everyone. That's great. And beautiful day outside. I hope maybe some folks that are not on video, maybe you're out on your back deck or patio enjoying the weather / doing some CRW sessions. That would be wonderful. Yeah, we're just still letting folks in here. So feel free, like Adam mentioned, feel free to go poke around in the mural there, take a look at what lies ahead of us for the next hour here. And a few folks coming in still. Up to 54 on my account here, which is amazing.
Yeah, still admitting people. Again, as you're landing in the call, click on the mural link in the chat. Get yourself into the mural space. We were just talking about broadcasting from your patio. Look at that. We got an awesome someone calling in. Got strong Wi-Fi on the deck.
Nice.
Enjoying the
sun.
That's
a huge win. Amazing.
Yeah.
I like the addition of the digital wizard title you've awarded yourself.
That's I'm a co-pilot for this session, and that's normally my self-proclaimed title, is I get to fly the co-pilot seat. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just a quick little question that you can drop into chat while we're waiting. I know we're still letting a few folks in, but I love to do something when I'm facilitating called a one-word check-in. So it's actually easier said than done. If you could summarize how you're feeling, what your vibe is right now in just one word, what would that be? And you can drop it in the chat of our Zoom here. That might be a good way to just gauge the room where everyone's at. I see a couple already from groovy, a bit of stress, totally normal, especially this time of year. Okay, nice. Cool beans, good one. Excited, tired, here, radical, hungry. Wow, very cool. Yeah, there's a nice mix, and that is always the case. I always like to say to students or anyone, in any post-secondary, this is the time of the semester where, there's lots kind of coming at you. However, on the plus side of that, the next few weeks go by very quickly, and then all of a sudden it's summer somehow, and you're enjoying it, and we don't know how that happened, but it will happen. It always does. So yeah, it's great to see everyone and kind of where you're at. Amazing. Are folks still coming in there, Adam, or it looks like it's
more
stabilizing?
Went in there, yeah. 63. We got to be near the cap of the session anyway. So
yeah, okay. All right, amazing. So I noticed a few comment here about jumping on mural is a big task. That's if folks aren't for some reason able to access the mural, that's okay. We'll continue to kind of talk through the different pieces of the mural as well. But that being said, if you're able to get into that that link that Adam posted into the chat, that's incredible as well. And yeah, so nice to see folks. So I think we'll get started. My name's Ross McIntyre. I'm a faculty at Georgian. I've also done lots of work with the Center for Changemaking Social Innovation. And part of that is obviously participating in Changemaker and Residency Week. It is an incredible week, as some of you experienced. Just a quick, using the reaction button in the Zoom, just a quick show of thumbs up or some other reaction from anyone that has attended other sessions either today or back in the fall for Changemaker Residency Week, just to get a sense of where folks are at. Amazing. Okay, and for those who haven't, welcome. The whole point of these sessions is to give different tools, information, knowledge, learning, collaboration, experience, discussion, for us to be able to connect on key topics that are really important potentially to your work, to your school, to your life, to the world. And so that's our goal today. This is actually a 1-hour session, and I'll be fully honest with everyone here. This is my first time facilitating this particular session in only an hour. Usually do it in an hour and a half. So if I really get going, or you wanted to tell me to stop for a minute and jump in with a question, please don't hesitate to do that. More than welcome to. I highly encourage any interruptions as well. I want to, I think start out by, oh, sorry, Adam, do you want to introduce yourself as well, just in case anyone wasn't in sessions with you today already?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon. My name is Adam, and I am the community animator for the Center for Changemaking and Social Innovation, and I have the Sons of Olympus shining down upon me where my office is right now. Broadcasting live from the Millennium Falcon today, and today, like I said, I'm going to be the self-proclaimed digital wizard running in the co-pilot seat. So if you have any questions or any problems, just message me down in the chat. I'm going to be taking care of all that stuff. Happy to see everybody here. You guys are in for an amazing opportunity here with Ross. Can you do a high five, Ross, on your Zoom window?
Oh yeah.
Here, there,
Wait,
boom. Look at that.
There you go.
Way, other side.
Magic. Other side? Oh, it's reversed for me.
On mine, that worked.
Magic. Okay.
There we go.
Perfect. Nailed it. We definitely practiced that, and we definitely did.
That's all we were doing for the last 40 minutes.
Yeah. Wonderful. So thanks so much, everyone, again for joining in on this session. It is on empathy, and it is on empathy as part of the human-centered design thinking process. We'll cover what that all means shortly, but I want to start off with a land acknowledgement we do tend to hear very official and kind of scripted land acknowledgements, and as you may have seen in other sessions or will see, Georgian is and everyone involved in this week is working to personalize those a bit more, and so officially, I'm personally in Aurelia right now, which is located on the land of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Mississauga territory. And for me, when I think of land acknowledgement, I always think back to a couple of years into my time in Aurelia. I work also at a nonprofit camp, which is out in Rama. And part of that drive is driving across this part of Aurelia called the Narrows. It's where Lake Simcoe and Lake Couchiching meet. And I remember it was a couple of years into my time here that I learned that this is such a historically significant spot for Indigenous peoples. Thousands of Indigenous families would travel there every spring and create fish weirs, because where those two lakes come together to the spot called the Narrows is where fish would travel through, and families would be able to catch and keep fish for that they could then use to eat and live for the rest of the year. The archaeological significance of this site is incredible. It predates the pyramids in Egypt. That's how significant and how long-standing this was a space of community. And to me, I always think, how come I didn't know that sooner? How come that took me about 3, maybe even 4 years of living here before I knew about the significance of that site? And so every time I drive over there on the way to my work at Camp Couchiching, I always think that it's a reminder, I suppose, of the ongoing work, knowledge, education, but most importantly, the action that needs to be tied to decolonization. And so for me, that means a set a set amount of work and learning that I try to continuously do in an ongoing way. But also, I think it's a good reminder for everyone to take that opportunity to learn about those things that are maybe unknown, but should be more known, perhaps in the area where you may live. As a settler on unceded land in Canada, I find it's for myself, I think it's something that is essential work for us all. And so, as part of that, I want to just drop the link to a really great resource in the chat here. If you're unsure of the Indigenous communities that live on the land you're currently on, then I'd recommend checking out that website. Okay, so continuing along with our plan here, everyone is hopefully in the mural. Looks like Adam dropped it in just a minute ago as well. And already, for folks that are very familiar with mural, becoming ninjas at it, there's a bunch of different things in the introduction activity. So what are you bringing to this space? I see a bunch of different great little memes and some positivity, excited, ready to learn. That's so incredible. In the question below, what type of eating contest would you definitely win at? So I dropped tacos in there. I feel like that's I would have that one on lockdown. And what else we got? Pizza, yeah, amazing. And so for anyone that's not familiar with mural, in case this happens to be your first time using it, this is just a giant whiteboard essentially, but it's you can see there's a kind of templates on it and different activities. You can double click anywhere, add a post-it note, type in some words to add it, or as a lot of people are demonstrating in a very cool way, you can copy and paste pictures from literally anywhere on the World Wide Web and drop them into there as well. And let's see, we got, I think, 14 folks in the mural and a lot more on the call. So I think that maybe if anyone's having issues getting into the mural, you can also copy and paste the link into a new tab. Sometimes that's the limitation there on that.
There's 55 people in the mural.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong number. My bad. All right, amazing. So that means that most,
we're loaded up, man. We're good to go.
Most of us, if not all of us, are there. Wonderful. All right, so the session today we're covering in a very record-breaking time is empathy as part of the human-centered design thinking process. I want to start with that. I'm going to start with the empathy piece. And so back in the Zoom, I'm going to actually share my screen. So if you are in the mural, maybe take a minute, hop back into the Zoom, and take a minute to watch this video. I'm going to optimize for sound and video, optimizing. Going to drop a little. Okay, so and maybe you just get confirmation too once you can hear and hopefully hear and see this.
Can you turn it up a bit?
Yeah, you bet.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there and turn on the old video again. So yeah, when we're talking about empathy, it is about not only identifying a problem, but fully connecting with and trying to put ourselves in the shoes of a problem or a person experiencing that problem. Oftentimes, if we're looking at some sort of problem solving, trying to figure out problems, whether it's in our work, our school, our own personal lives, we'll jump this step. We'll jump right to the solutions. We'll jump right to the ideas to make something better. However, empathy has such a strong position as a starting point for us in the work that we're doing. And so to kind of situate that within the human-centered design thinking process, I'm going to jump back into the mural here. And you'll notice up at the top, and I will use the magical summoning feature here just so you can see what I'm seeing. And that'll just bring you to my window. So you'll notice that right in the first step of the human-centered design thinking process is empathize. We're not trying to define the problem yet. We're not trying to come up with ideas. We're not trying to prototype, test out solutions yet. We're taking that time to allow us to connect and to allow us to really zero in and then identify the problem. And so I know it's something that we're all in some ways guilty of, perhaps, is we'll jump this step. We want to solve a problem as soon as it comes in. And it's tough, and it's something that we need to continue to work on and build in our own selves. And so I think one thing to consider, I guess, when we're talking about empathy is how can we use it to our advantage and to the advantage of others. The human-centered design thinking process is a term I've used several times already, but just to bring everyone together on the same page for that. The idea behind human-centered design thinking, it was those little hexagons that we saw earlier. It's a very strategic, intentional, collaborative process. It's a tool for us to use in problem solving. And as I mentioned before, we can use this in terms of problems in social problems, in terms of our school, in terms of our work, and even in terms of our own life. And that's something that I think is maybe very inspiring and interesting about this. So please don't hesitate, as I mentioned, don't hesitate to jump in on the chat or unmute and jump in at any point if there's questions, comments, thoughts that are inspired by this. And so what I'd like to do first, and so just maybe in the Zoom chat is probably the best spot for this, but I'd like everyone to just drop in a sentence or a couple words, what is a problem right now that you are passionate about, a problem that requires solving or that is looking for solutions right now? What do we need to solve? And feel free, I think someone maybe unmuted, feel free if you want to unmute and add to that too. But if you could just drop your answer to that in the chat. What's a big problem that you would like to have solved right now? You don't need to have the solution, you just need to identify a problem. Time management, fair pay and ECO, so much great stuff coming in. Youth mental health supports, finding a job, lack of low-cost childcare for families, getting a co-op job, listening, being good listeners. That's such a good one. Isolation, poverty. Oh my goodness, they're coming in faster than I could read them. Thank you for that engagement. Thank you for putting that time and thought in. It's incredible. Confidence during interviews, discrimination, and poverty. So if we look at just that quick list, and they're still coming in, which is amazing. We have some that are on that individual level, right? Getting a co-op job or placement, right? We have some that are on that kind of middle community level job when we're talking about access to childcare and whatnot, or other pieces. But we have some that are on a big global level as well, right? No poverty, ending discrimination. And so thank you for that, because it really demonstrates how human-centered design thinking is a tool that's meant to be applied on whatever level you choose to use it. And empathy is the first step in that tool. So I want to do an activity, and it's outlined here in the mural. But I think what we'll do, just for the sake of time, is we'll do this as a full group in the Zoom, because I want to ensure that we do have time to really get into the process, the tool of empathy mapping, which is coming up a little bit later. So for this activity, heard, seen, respected, essentially it's an exercise in empathy, because it's encouraging those different roles that we need to cultivate empathy, whether for ourselves and in relation to others too. And so this always makes me a bit nervous, but I would love for a volunteer who is comfortable talking for only 1 minute, but you'll have a question, a really simple, straightforward question, and we'll ask for you to talk about it for a minute or so. Is there anyone that's willing to do that, that's able to jump in? Anyone that's comfortable sharing? Oh yes, thank you. Is it Jen? Is that right?
It's Janan.
Janan. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for that pronunciation. Janan, you are my hero. Thank you so much. Now, we need also 2 other volunteers that do not have to say anything, but you will still play an active role in this. Okay, Crystal is one. Amazing. Do we have one more? Ashley, thank you so much. And actually, what? I saw your hand, Amanda. Let's get you in on this too. This will be fun. So Crystal, Ashley, and Amanda, your role in this is you're going to be active listeners. So that means you aren't going to necessarily be saying anything. You're not going to be contributing to what Janan is saying. However, you will be encouraging her to say a little bit more. So questions like, oh, tell me more about that, or what was that like, or how did that feel? So if at any point during Janan's answer, it seems like she needs a little boost or encouragement, then the 3 of you can feel free to unmute and just encourage that additional discussion. So that is the main role. The rest of us, we are not all off the hook. The rest of us are going to be doing something that might be even more challenging in some ways. Our role here is to hold space. And so what that means is to be very conscious of how we're reacting, both like in terms of our own listening, in terms of our own body language and whatnot. Our goal would be to try to not react at all to anything that Janan is saying. And it may be easier said than done, right? It's the idea that we're trying to consciously not react at all. And so we're just holding space. Any questions about how this little demonstration is gonna pan out? Okay, Crystal and Ashley and Amanda, feel free to unmute just in case. Janan, are you ready for your question?
I'm ready.
Amazing. I have a 1 minute timer here. And so just for 1 minute, you'll be discussing and answering the question. Tell us a bit about the place, the town where you grew up, and the spot in your childhood and where you grew up. Okay. On your marks, get set. Here we go.
I grew up in a small little town called Elmville. It was, I grew up there. I moved there, I guess I was, my goodness, it's like many moons ago. I was 7 years old. I went to Elmville Public School until grade 8, and then I graduated and went to the high school. I left there in grade 10 and actually went away to boarding school for 2 years, and then decided I was a little bit homesick. So I came back home because that's sort of where my roots were and all of my best friends. And it's interesting that 4 of my friends are still my friends today. Like we grew up from the time we were, because I would have been 7 or 8 years old. Very small little farming community. So everybody knows everybody. I couldn't really have asked for a better place to grow up.
Okay, that is the 1 minute timer. Congrats, Janan. That is not easily done. That did it feel like a bit more than a minute perhaps when you were talking, or?
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, it was many moons ago, so it's hard to kind of reflect back.
Yeah, no, amazing. Thank you for doing that. And Crystal and Ashley and Amanda, that was, Janan managed to continue that, which is amazing. So I did see some great reaction and body language. For the rest of us, perhaps you noted how difficult it is to constrain your own reactions. Like literally in the first 3 seconds of that activity, when Janan started talking, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, oh wait, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to try to not react in any way.
It's
so even
hard.
I,
Sorry,
go ahead,
it's
Crystal.
hard
Yeah.
not to comment and say, oh, it sounds like such a small, quaint place, or it sounds like a great place to grow up. It sounds like you had a good place. Like it's hard not to speak into that.
Absolutely. Ashley and Amanda, was it similar for you to not knowing that you could have jumped in if you wanted to? Was that a bit tricky to not?
It was tricky for not to jump in.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, it's I think that I love that activity because we so rarely are talking for 1 minute straight without some sort of interruption or not even an interruption, but that natural flow of the conversation. So what that activity does is it breaks down that natural flow of any conversation and really focuses on what we're doing. Anyone else who was just supposed to be holding space, did anyone else find themselves, you could show it with just a reaction in Zoom too, if that's easiest. Anyone else have trouble restricting your own kind of natural body language or anything like that? Yeah, it was interesting. It's very tricky to see, but thank you. So I'm just going to throw a big applause reaction in there for Janon and Crystal and Ashley and Amanda for that activity. I wonder if I don't, not to put you on the spot, but perhaps Crystal, would you be open to, if we did that one more time and I asked a question to you, would you be open to that? And would Janon or Amanda?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. And would Ashley, Janon, or Amanda, would you like to be the active listeners in this space?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. Okay. All right, Crystal, so you have your own question. You'll have your own minute. And this time, as everyone's watching, we're all doing this activity. Try so hard to be conscious of your own reactions and how closely we're listening to Crystal answering this question. Okay. So Crystal, your question is going to be, can you talk a little bit about your first memories or first connections with technology, with something that's like technology related, whether it can be anything at all, but you have 1 minute to talk about what you remember in terms of your first connections with technology.
So my first connections with technology is when our very first time of getting a computer. My parents bought us this old desktop that was barely could run anything. It was dial up, and we were so excited to have this awesome computer. As a teenager, I was able to have this computer in my room, and I was able to connect with friends that way through MSN at that time. And it was the best way to talk to your friends, and it was the cool thing as a teenager to get to have that connection and be the up and coming people that had your internet at the time, and it was dial up and whatnot. Other kids in my school did not have that kind of stuff, so you felt like that rich kid with a computer. And yeah, it's a little difficult to talk that long.
All right, congrats. Yeah, Crystal, you did it in the minute. That's so impressive, and congratulations. And thanks again to the active listeners. Once again, I found myself immediately being like, oh yes, and then no, I can't do that. And so yeah, thank you for that. I'd encourage folks in the chat if you had any insights or reactions and participating in that large group exercise, feel free to drop that in. And Sydney has a specific MSN related question in there too. That's fair.
I loved Adam's reactions, by the way, because I totally knew he knew what I was talking about.
Right. And so especially in that scenario, right, where we connect with something, it's so hard to not just react and demonstrate that connection. So the reason that's an activity in empathy is because it creates that space to go deeper with a topic or a discussion that we normally wouldn't, even if it's just 1 minute, right? I'm guessing that everyone on this call learned a bit about Janon and learned a bit about Crystal from that activity as well. The other way that works is that we develop an awareness of our own reactions to a topic by trying to limit or put those into a specific category. It really makes us more conscious of that quite immediately, right? And so it's difficult not to react. Yeah, I see Jen in the chat there saying that, yeah, it's very non-natural. So empathy is about building our own natural capacity to react, but in a way that is meeting that person where they're at, or meeting that problem where it's at, and meeting them in a way that will allow us to be a true support. If we think back to that video, right? The idea of saying, well, at least this isn't happening, or the idea of at least that can undermine a spot someone's in, right? And so empathy is about true, meaningful, genuine connection to someone else and seeing where they are at. Lauren says, I find it's easier, excuse me, not to not react over virtual activity, but I think it would feel very different practicing this in person. Wonderful point. This is really, really tricky to do in person. So thanks again. Another big clap reaction to all of our volunteers for that. I know that's not easy to do, but I'm so grateful that we got some incredible volunteers to work through that activity. A takeaway for everyone from that, as we're building empathy in our lives and we're using it to solve problems, I highly encourage you to do this activity on your own with the people in your life, but don't tell them that you're doing this activity. Just decide that, hey, for 1 minute at my dinner table tonight or with my family, I'm going to be that active listener and just see what happens, see where the conversation goes, see what's going on. Maybe you're chatting with a friend or something, or maybe even texting, it could work. Try to be that active listener and see what happens. You could try just doing the holding space piece too and not reacting at all. It's a really great way to build a foundation in our own awareness of this in terms of our work. Okay, so that is so wonderful. Thank you again for those folks that are able to volunteer. What I want to do next is in our step 3 in the mural here, and I'm going to zoom in on breakout rooms number 1 through 3. And I think what I'd like to do for everyone that's in the mural, I'm going to go ahead and do the old sum and things so you can see what I'm looking at here. And of course, you can zoom in closer. And maybe Adam, you can help me with this. I think what I'd like to do, based on everyone earlier shared different problems, and we were able to see how those were of different scopes. And so on breakout room number 1 here, I'm going to add a little label to breakout room number 1, and we'll all work in these together. So Adam, on the first one, I'm going to add a label that's called procrastination. I saw that come up a couple times in terms of problems for people. So if you don't mind, and on the second one here, I'm going to add a label called affordable local childcare, because I saw that come up a couple of times too. And also, I know if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a large contingent of ECE students in this session right now. So welcome, and nice to see some of you again, or to meet you again. And then in breakout room number 3, we'll add a label called poverty, because and so maybe you've already caught on to what I'm doing here, but I'm taking those problems that you all identified earlier on in the session, and we're going to use breakout room number 1 for a very local or individualized challenge or problem, which is procrastination. We're going to use the maps in breakout room number 2 for a more community level problem. So affordable local childcare, finding that childcare, being able to access it, afford it. And we'll use breakout room number 3 for a big global, big issue, which is poverty. And so that's going to be our little map here. Now, without further ado, and thank you for your patience as like I just kind of set up this piece, because to me, it's so much more valuable to be able to take issues, problems, challenges that you have identified, and be able to put that into the actual worksheets that we're doing. So that's my goal here. So thank you for your patience in that. So hopefully you are in the mural, and what you'll do is I'm going to zoom in right on the empathy map itself. Excuse me. So what you can see in the mural when you're looking at the screen I'm looking at is the actual empathy map. What we're doing with this quick little worksheet is exactly what we've been talking about so far. We want to put ourselves in the shoes of someone experiencing a particular problem. And in terms of internally, what are they thinking? and what are they feeling? And that's what we can see up here in the top kind of gray sections. What are they thinking about? What are they feeling if they're experiencing this problem? So in this case, it's procrastination. So someone that's struggling with procrastination, what are they thinking? What are they feeling? More externally, what would someone dealing with procrastination be seeing? What would they be doing? What would they be saying? What would they be hearing? What would those things look like? And again, when you're in the mural, you can just double click anywhere to add a post-it note to the section. And then in this empathy map tool, the pains and the gains at the bottom, that's a bit more of a bigger picture view or kind of general view. What pains are these person experiencing? What are some fears, frustrations, anxieties? And then on the other side, what gains might they be experiencing? What do they want or need or hope or want to be able to do in the future, right? And so this is a way for us to map out empathy and spend that time with it to say, what would this person experiencing this problem think, feel, see, do, say, hear? This is a tool for us to build out that foundation. And as you're doing this, think through how this might apply to, like, imagine, you have something unexpected comes up and it's something negative and not something that you're hoping for or wanting in life. Imagine we took a moment and said, okay, well, what am I thinking or feeling, seeing, doing, hearing? Or what is this person, a group of people that's impacted by this unexpected challenge? What are they doing? So this is a tool to do that. All right, so I see some folks are in the procrastination section already. And I encourage folks that are in the mural to use breakout rooms 1 through 3. And you can pick whichever topic or work in multiple topics as well, for that matter. Feel free to pick which of these 3 areas you'd like to add some content to. But again, I encourage folks to do it on all of these levels. What does this look like for an individual suffering from procrastination? What does this look like for a community that's lacking affordable childcare? And then globally, what does the big, messy problem of poverty look like? People experiencing poverty in many different forms. What does that look like in terms of people experiencing that? What are they thinking, feeling, seeing, doing, saying, hearing? One last thing that I want to mention, as people are starting to dive into this section of the mural, there are zero wrong answers in this process. We are always going for quantity over quality. There's nothing, if you're thinking, well, maybe that fits, maybe it doesn't, it fits. You can put it in. There's no wrong answers in any of these sections. So I'd encourage folks to start populating these, whichever kind of level you want to look at it. We can explore what empathy looks like in relation to these different problems.
You got a question there, Russ.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can't. I don't have the chat up, but I should figure out how to do that. What is it in the chat? Zoom chat?
Someone on the Zoom call. Sorry. Mayurul Patel?
So I don't know. Actually, I came 5 to 10 minutes late.
Okay.
So I don't know really long. So can you please explain me it again?
You don't know what? Sorry, you cut out right there at the question part.
You said in the breakout room 1, 2, and 3. You said something about that. So how to do those?
Okay, wonderful. So are you in the Mayur? Are you in the actual mural yet, or no?
No.
Okay, so wonderful. Adam just dropped a link into the chat of the Zoom call. So you can either click on it, but if that doesn't work, you can also copy and paste that link into a new tab. And that will take you into the mural platform that we're using. And then you'll be able to see in step 3 in that mural, you'll be able to take a look and see the different stages of that we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for jumping in and asking that question. Amazing. Okay, so I'll just taking a look back in here. I see some folks are adding, and I'm going to make sure I can get this chat. Keep an eye on the chat as well. Any other questions, like any questions or thoughts that as folks are filling out this mural and we're doing this activity on these different levels? Any thoughts or ideas or just anything that have been inspired in you so far in terms of the topic and what we're talking through and working through? Feel free to drop it in the chat, or feel free to unmute if you have anything you want to share on the topic of empathy and how we can use it to help solve problems.
So just to clarify, Ross, sorry, we're not actually doing breakout rooms. We're just going to a space and kind of working in real time, correct?
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Adam, for clarifying. So if you're looking for we are actually going into the breakout rooms through Zoom. We are in the mural space, and you'll notice that just to use it as different little pockets to put information in the what's labeled breakout room 1, 2, and 3 in the mural is where we're working on 3 different problems and doing an empathy map for them. In breakout room 1 section, procrastination, and tons of people are adding stuff to that already, which is incredible. In breakout room 2, there's the affordable local childcare. That's a problem that how can we connect empathy to it and really get a sense of people facing that problem and what are they experiencing. And then breakout room number 3, poverty is the issue we're dealing with, and that's at that global level. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Adam, too. That's great. I'm curious, just as again, so much good stuff is going into that mural, and thank you for that engagement. Thank you for adding your own thoughts and insights. Anything that's part of the human-centered design thinking process is inherently collaborative. It requires many voices. It requires really thinking through and rethinking and refining, stretching ideas, concepts, and being able to apply them in new ways. And so that's really, really important, I think, for this process and for coming up with some outcomes that are beneficial to all of us. Just as people are doing that, I do have a question that I'll put out for folks in the Zoom chat, if perhaps you've already added some stuff to Mural. The question I'll put out is, how does empathy connect to your life? And that can be through your work. So maybe it relates to either the job you have or the job that you're hoping to have upon graduating. How can empathy connect to your work, the people that you'll be working with, or maybe already are working with in some ways? So just think through that question, maybe add a little bit in the chat. How can those things connect? How can we connect empathy to our work, to our lives? All right, I'm going to take a peek back at the mural here and see all the incredible things that folks are coming up with. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's just so much great stuff in here. Really, really impressive. And I love how a lot of folks, just an observation of looking through the mural, in the thinking and feeling sections, some folks are using first person, which is what a great way to build empathy. The idea of saying, so in the second one here, how am I supposed to work/do what I need to do if I can't afford childcare? So putting yourself in their in someone's shoes in that respect is really, really important, to be able to see it from their lens. Incredible. Oh, I got a direct message here. Empathy being related to active listening and giving time when somebody wants to share their feelings. Yeah, that's, I think, hopefully a takeaway from that activity we did earlier, where we can, yeah, really refine those skills and continue to build on them in some interesting ways. Yeah, that's really great. And Jen saying here too, my best to use active listening with my students as well as at home with my children and husband. Let them know what they have to say is important to me. Yeah, that's such a really great insight as well. And I like how you're connecting it to your work and to different aspects of your life as well, right? Empathy doesn't always equal action, right? That's an interesting way to look at it. Like, and we kind of learned that from the video. Being empathetic doesn't always require an action, a solution. And sometimes, and I know I'm guilty of this myself, sometimes depending on our personality and our where we're at, the goal is to find that solution, is to find that solution quickly and efficiently, and let's get past this problem. That's not what's required sometimes, right? So that's hopefully a helpful or interesting takeaway too. Especially when maybe our own like fuel tanks are a little low, we could ask ourselves, well, you know, maybe we can just kind of hold space here for other folks. Yeah, I'm getting a couple direct messages in with the other general messages too. So Sydney says it's how Sydney made connections with families while on placement last year is through empathy. I think is referring back to that question. That's yeah, the idea of connections and the strength and depth of relationships that we build through empathy is incredible. Oh yeah, confirmation from Sydney. Oh, and then Sahil Preet says, having done security, I have to be empathetic, listen to people and understand so as to be able to make things as accurate as possible. Yeah, there's a totally practical side to empathy as well, right? In a way of acknowledging others. It's, yeah, so interesting to see all this incredible stuff. Like if we look at our empathy maps back in the mural here, they are starting to get chock full. And this is really, really impressive stuff. Like, I will make the other observation in the mural here that we're working on these 3 different levels of problems and trying to apply empathy to them. I want to make the observation that the procrastination one, which is very individual level, it's kind of that level of like, usually it's an individual or small group of individuals experiencing that. That one is quite full. And sometimes it's easier to access empathy and relate to it and think through it when it is something that maybe we personally can relate to, of course, and empathize with. When we're talking about human-centered design thinking and potentially a lot of the work many of the folks on the session maybe are doing or potentially will do down the road, it starts to spill over into that community level. Well, how can I as a person, we start asking, how can us as an organization, or how can us as a city or a town or a county, how can we do work that reflects empathy as a starting point for the problems we're looking at solving? And then, of course, globally, it's about connecting those these very tangible and real human emotions to problem solving on these different levels. So thank you for, again, all the input, all the incredible input that is in the chat, that is coming into the mural. It's so impressive, and it's the idea of being able to understand suffering of others. That's an incredible point too. Oh, interesting. So I want to just draw attention, another comment that I got through a direct message, not necessarily about work, but potentially about family life too. So someone mentioned that their family is thousands of miles away, and communicating, talking with them daily to balance stress in life, like that's an incredible piece. And you're probably empathizing with one another in different ways on those calls. And so, yeah, just so impressive, I think, to see everything that's coming out of this group on this topic. A quick little poll that we'll do in the Zoom chat as well, just so I know too. When we're talking about empathy as a starting point for this bigger process of human-centered design thinking, I mentioned early on that it's the starting point for this process. Picture the human-centered design thinking as a tool, like a thing that you can be given, and then you're able to apply it in different ways. The next stage is defining a problem. So we empathize with it, then we'll spend time really defining it. And that's not simply Googling it real quick and figuring out, okay, what does affordable childcare look like, or what does procrastination look like? It's about doing a deeper dive into these topics in a similar way that we're doing right now with empathy. Then from define, we'll go into ideate, which is a fancy word for brainstorming, coming up with ideas on how we can maybe solve this problem. And then beyond that, we start prototyping and testing out our ideas. So that's where this is positioned in this bigger process. So a quick little Zoom poll on a scale of 1 to 5, if you can just drop the number in the chat. How clear is the concept of the human-centered design process as I've described it so far? 1 being not clear at all, I'm still really lost. 5 being like crystal clear, I got it. Or kind of 3 being in that middle zone of like, okay, I think I'm kind of catching on to where it's at. Whoa, bunch of 4s and 5s, couple 3s, that's okay. A 7 from someone who is definitely an expert on it. That's amazing. Okay, that's great to know. Thank you. It's a good little check-in, I think, just to see where we're at. So if you, in fact, are curious about this or curious about learning more about it, there are sessions tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on different aspects of this process too. Because again, the work we're doing right now in the mural and also in the Zoom chat is just kind of the tip of the iceberg, I guess they could say, right? So. Okay, that is amazing. So the last little section I want to do in our mural. And thank you so much for, and by the way, like we will save all of these murals, the things that you're working on, that's stuff that we save. And I hope just in reading them, I can see that this group is certainly not only getting it, but really thriving at organizing and fleshing out this information in these different ways. All right, so the last little piece I'll do as we are magically coming up somehow to the end of our session is step 4. And so this is a debrief section, and these are called empathy cards. And so the idea is you want to identify, based on what we learned, talked about, and thank you again so much to the folks that volunteered, the folks that are weighing in on the chat and also contributing to make this nice, full, huge, amazing mural. We'll be in step 4 of the mural. And you want to identify an intention card that connects with you. So all these cards below have a different theme or topic on them. So practicing empathy, being patient, exploring my limits, celebrating, embracing stress, these different pieces. And you can kind of think through and connect to them perhaps in the, based on what we started off with, which was that one-word check-in that I did with folks too. So you can just take your Post-it note actually and put it below the card. We'll make like a little running section below the card. I see folks are in there just because there's so many of us on the call. If we want to just add below each particular card, and you're going to write your own. So kind of quote unquote, for instance. So for example, if I want to, I'm going to say I'm connecting with the idea of being patient. My Post-it note might say, for instance, I am going to intentionally not interrupt anyone at dinner tonight in my family, right? Or for celebrating, you could say, for instance, I'm going to compliment the next person I see on something that they've done or working on, whatever it may be, but it'll fit these different categories. So let's spend the last kind of couple minutes that we have here going through that, and we'll try to build up that part of the mural. Again, it's so super impressive to see how good everyone is at mural so far. It's great. Or if I want to say too, if it's your first time in there, do not fear. It's quite user friendly, and hopefully you'll feel good about it even more as time goes on. All right. I'm curious too, just as we're wrapping up the last few minutes, we're doing that debrief reflection piece in the mural. Just again, for the sake of accessibility and people's technology comfort levels, that sort of thing. I want to put it out there to say, is there anything from this session so far that you feel or heard about that you feel like this can apply to my life right away? Like, I want to think about this more tomorrow. Is there an example of any topic or thing that we've covered or part of this this session that you feel you could apply? So I'm so curious to hear if anyone has any thoughts on that, and feel free to drop that in the chat on Zoom as well, as we kind of use both Mural and Zoom. So the question is, I'll type it into the chat here actually. Oh, amazing. Nikita says you are not alone. That's yeah, what a wonderful takeaway. Yeah, that is inspiring a whole new section of thoughts in my brain. Yeah. I just dropped the question in there too, in case anyone wanted it. Putting yourself in the shoes of the problem. Yeah, Nikita, I love that as well. I think that's, I guess, that is one of the main takeaways that I'm hoping to convey, is that oftentimes we'll, try to put ourselves in the shoes of others. But the way Nikita put it was perfect. How do we put ourselves in the shoes of a problem, especially if it's at that community level, or maybe even at that bigger global level, right? A societal level. It gets tricky, and it needs lots of folks doing lots of great work to move towards a good direction, right? Oh, great one from Catherine too. Empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. Yeah, that's an important distinction for sure, because there's times to use each and times to probably not use each, right? Opening up more about mental health to friends. Yeah, you can certainly cultivate that empathy in others as well too, just by opening up and sharing. Yeah. Connecting with people more and more to understand them. Yeah. Not rushing this process. Yeah, Jen really hit the nail on the head. You'd think like, how could we talk about it, you know, with 60, 70 people, how can we talk about empathy for a whole hour? Like, but it requires this deeper dive, right? And by taking this time, we are ultimately setting ourselves up for better solutions to any problem that we're working with through the human-centered design thinking process. By doing that deep dive, we get to more substantial outcomes. That's 100% the goal. Incredible. Okay, so I'm going to just pop back into the mural here and take a little look at the empathy cards. Oh, so many good ones. I won't read these out loud just because I know maybe maybe people have added them from a kind of a personal standpoint, which is absolutely great and absolutely the point. But it is really great to see all these different examples of really strong intention cards. Without reading any specifically, there's a lot around people having empathy for themselves. And to be honest, I can't think of a better note to wrap up everything we've talked about in this quick hour on, is that, you know, we want to build this skill to be able to have empathy for others, for our communities, for big problems that are and how we can plug into them in a way that's helpful. But all of that starts, and in many ways ends too, with the ability to cultivate empathy for ourselves. And that requires doing this work in a way that connects us to these challenges in a pretty deep way and a pretty meaningful way too. This is incredible. And so I know some folks we're coming up to the end. I know some folks might have other places to go, or other sessions or other things to attend, which is totally fine. If there's any general feedback, I'm happy to have that. I'd love to hear what folks thought so far. But don't forget too, this is just day one of a full week of Changemaker and Residency Week. There are so many different sessions coming up. Make sure to check out the field guide and to see what else is on the way. I know I'm covering a couple other sessions on the human-centered design thinking process, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll build on kind of the stuff that we've done today. So I'd love to chat with folks more in that way. And yeah, Janan, empathy is seeing the eyes of another and listening with the ears of another and feeling with the heart of another. Right, I love it. And that another could be a group of people, a community of people, a country of people. Yeah, it's really great. So thanks so much, everyone. Adam, anything else that I'm missing that I should add in at the end here that you can think of? I know we covered a ton in that hour, but hopefully it's a good starting point for folks.
It was an awesome wind down for the day. Rosh, you did an awesome job. And like I said, I've been through this session a few times with a different facilitator. So it's really cool to see the perspective and the expertise that you bring to it. I'm just in the process of trying to paste the checklist into the chat here. So if people haven't downloaded their checklist as well to record the sessions they're going to as well, don't fear, you'll be able to access the information. I'm just trying to paste that in there, make sure everybody has that. But congratulations, an amazing job, everybody, the few people that I've seen a few times, and just everyone in Mural, like adopting this platform and then juggling between the two. It's no easy feat. So you guys, I think everybody did an amazing job, super high participation. So it's so cool to see that.
Yeah, it's a little different than MSN chat, back to what Crystal was saying earlier. But
ICQ is what I was thinking of.
ICQ, yeah. But yeah, no, again, just to reiterate, thanks so much, everyone. And we'll hang around a little bit too, in case anyone has other specific questions, and hope to see a lot of you tomorrow, whether that's in the session on defining a problem for this or in any of the other sessions for CRW too. Thanks so much, everyone. Get outside, enjoy this beautiful sun that we still have.
Thank you so much, Ross and Adam.
You are welcome. Thank you. And the checklist is in there too now. I just saw Adam drop that in case you need a copy of that.
I see a question about the innovation capital. So it will actually be deployed and probably be the most accurate about a week after this week is done. So you've registered for your sessions. Everything is recorded on the back end, but we have to populate. We have to basically wait till all the sessions are done running, and then we'll update all the points. So they were supposed to be updated in real time, but we weren't able to do that just due to capacity. So don't fear, whatever your profile thing is showing right now, that's probably not accurate until next week. And that's when the badges and stuff will go out as well. So don't fear everything is recorded. If you did register for a session, we have those records, and that's why we're encouraging you to fill out the checklist as well. So you have proof of the sessions that you attended when it comes time for all that stuff as well. So.
Sorry, can you tell me where the checklist would be?
Yeah, I just threw it in the chat there. Up a few, it's a CRW student checklist in the Zoom chat. It should be a PDF link.
I don't see it.
No?
Yeah.
It is, a lot of folks are kind of saying thanks and saying byes and stuff. So it is at 4:57 p.m. as a timestamp on it.
4:57.
Hold on, let me see if
Yeah, I
can,
still don't. I don't have it.
let me see if I can paste it in there again.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Copy Dropbox link. Here, let's try this one. Yeah,
Oh, there
Zoom's
it is.
being, depending on I'm not sure if it's because I'm not the host. Normally you can just drag and drop files right into the chat, but if I'm not the host, for some reason I can only do a link. Anyway, so
Can
you
we
should be able to
do
you should be able to download it from that Dropbox link.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem, guys.
Thanks. Let's see. All right, looks like that is solving it. Okay, any other questions, comments, folks? Again, we are officially at our 5. The clock has struck 5, and so you're more than welcome to head on to whatever is next in your day. But if there's other questions or anything too, feel free to stick around. We can happy to chat about that as well.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just wondering where I can find the recording of this meeting because I couldn't log in for the first 10 minutes. So I missed a lot of content.
That's a great question. I know that we are recording them. I don't know about their availability though. Adam, do you have any insights?
Yeah, so basically if the live session was full up, you can act in Eventbrite. There'll be the asynchronous version of this. Basically, you'll be able to access the recorded version. I believe you still have to register for it in order to access the link. I'm actually just figuring out, I have a meeting after this about where the videos are going to live. Last time we posted them to our YouTube channel, so they were accessed, but I know there was talk of having them accessed through another thing. But basically they will be recorded and you will be able to access them, just not today. So give us 24 hours and that information would definitely be available for you. If you want to email, you can always email the center and we'll get that email. I'll throw that in there, ccsi at georgiancollege.ca, and just ask about the recording and the session and we can get you the link. It's just going to take about 24 hours for us to get it processed and up in a place where we can share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I'm going to put that email in there for you. Yeah. So yeah, just email them and you'll be able to figure out. But I believe through the Eventbrite, you can access any of the recording. So.
All right. Anyone still on the call have any other questions, comments, thoughts that we want to wrap up before we wrap up the old meeting? Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. We will talk to you again soon.
All right. See you later.
Yeah, later.
Bye.